This podcast is brought to you by Balancing Act. Teach, coach, mentor, inspire. A collection of candid observations on the challenges facing business leaders today. Balancing Act is authored by Dr. Andrew Temte and is available today on Amazon and other fine bookstores. Today we talk with Casey Virock of the band Porcupine. We chat influences, the all-ages venue, The Warehouse, the songwriting and recording process, the COVID intermission from performing, what's next for the band, and where people can find out more. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
My name's Casey Virock. I was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I got into music. I probably, as a kid, I just kind of gravitated towards. At that time, I suppose my parents had the 8-tracks, so they played music all the time, and I just kind of, got transfixed on the Beatles and Lovin' Spoonful and Simon and Garfunkel and Neil Diamond and just 70s stuff. And then my uncle had Kiss and Zeppelin and then Alice Cooper, and I got into that and then finally got a guitar and begged for one, literally, and started playing guitar kind of late in the game, I think. What was I, probably 16, 17? My grades were really bad. So it was kind of like this, your grades get better, you can play your guitar. And, I was just like, I just want to play my guitar. Yeah. So that's about it. And then I got into a cover band when I was 18 or 19 with Lon Braithwaite and Jeff Sharon. It was called Disorient Express. We're actually going to do a reunion show this year, which I'm excited about. I had seen a local band doing all originals called Buzz Butler, and it was really powerful, like to see that, because I just thought, man, I think I could do that, and then I just started dabbling in writing songs, and that became kind of an obsession. I just loved writing songs, and that's how it all started.
You just kind of mentioning starting late. I remember you at the Warehouse, which I'd like to know, how the Warehouse fits into your journey in terms of music. You guys playing with a number of bands, and I was a kid, but I remember you playing guitar basically my whole life, from bands like with Bomb Pop and
oh yeah,
all a variety of different ones that it was always Space Bike and 3 mind-blowing original other bands that played for, a couple bucks. Now I'm sounding old when I'll say it was 25 cents to get in. No, it wasn't, but
it was great too, because guys like Aaron and, the guys in Norm's Headache,
yeah,
and Hick, like, it was cool. That's why the Warehouse is great, because we had all these like-minded, songwriting weirdos. It was like, I found even Zero Dark 30, who were completely different genre. They rehearsed right next to us, and it was just cool to bounce ideas off. Like, I'd listen to hear them in the next room and you'd be like, hey, that was really cool, and vice versa. Like, there's just this respect and camaraderie. And Steve had, like, Everclear played here, and Jesus Lizard played here, Babes in Toyland, Black Francis from the Pixies played here, Descendants, the Melvins. Like, if you think about it, it's insane. And all of the time, if we got on the bill or not, like, those shows inspired all of us more to, like, kind of, all right, we could do this. Like, it's a lot of work, and you don't get that instant gratification when you go play out live. I mean, you got to get used to playing to maybe 3 people in the other bands. But I don't know, I'm kind of stubborn, so I think that worked in my favor. Plus I was with Steve, who's super supportive, Davey and Brian, we were all good friends, and kind of, it was a mission, just let's see what happens. Let's see if we can see how far we can go with this. It's been fun. Now it's just kind of like, I can't stop doing it. I just love it. I love it, writing songs and playing guitar and creating music, with the band format. And as of late, it's been a different situation because it's all virtual. Like you said earlier, there's pros and cons. It's a controllable kind of atmosphere, but then I really miss playing in a room with that energy, creating that way. It's been a learning process.
Being basically a local for my whole life in some ways, I moved away for a little bit, but and having the warehouse as a place for, highly original music. Were you always a fan of La Crosse in some ways, or were you always trying to get away with the band in some capacity?
No, I loved it here, Brent. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to lie, when I decided to move back from the cities, it was kind of hard because I felt, and this sounds dumb, but I felt like I failed, like I was like, but with the pandemic, it just squashed everything. It was like everything just stopped, and there was like so much momentum going on with Porcupine at the time. It was really tough it was a tough pill to swallow, because it was like, dang it. But you have no control over it. Who would have thought we'd be in the middle of a pandemic? Plus at that time, there was the rioting going on up there and all that other stuff. And I basically lived right in the middle of that. And my sister, who lived outside of Minneapolis, lived there for 15, 20 years. She called me and said, hey, I'm moving back. Be back by the family. So are you coming? And I was homesick. I was really missing my son by that point. And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to come back. So that said, I drive. I live in Holman, and I drive that stretch, and, you look out, and on Alaska, you look over the river, and I'm like, man, this is gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful place, and my family's here, and musically I can do everything I want to do from here. You just hop in a car and drive. It's not a big deal. I never really had plans on moving. The reason I did it was because Davey was out of the band at that point, and everybody was based up there, and it was just easier. And I had just left Dave's guitar shop, and I was like, it was time for a change. And it was amazing living up there. I mean, holy crap. Like I worked in a great guitar shop and dealt with local musicians that I adored, the Soul Asylum guys, Jay Hawks, Trip Shakespeare, Babes in Toyland. All those guys would come in, and you get to chat about songs and playing out, and it was cool. And I still get to do it. It's just I live back here with my peeps.
With your peeps.
With my peeps.
So you kind of reference it from early iterations. I just know you basically from Space Bike to Porcupine, and there's some things in between. And even with COVID now, how is the songwriting, and probably even more so with COVID, the recording process kind of gone? How has it changed? Has it always been fast and quick, or is it something that's been...
Well, with virtual, it's been pretty pokey. And the reason being is it's a different process. I'm working with Jason Knox, and he and I do a project called Carousel Swan, and he's a bit more hands-on engineer wise, and kind of wears producer hat. So he has his ideas and I have mine, and Porcupine, like I'm starting over basically with new people, but that's all good. But it's been like it's been slow, honestly. There's no rush. I don't need to get anything out. Like before, everything was like on a timeline. You basically like, you got to get this out by this time, and the artwork needs to be done because you're going to be heading out with so and so for a couple weeks. You know what I mean? There's always like this timeline and pressure, which is, I work actually better that way. because I'm going to be honest, Brent, been a little complacent lately, but I think I've just been kind of indecisive because personally I've been like, am I going to stay here? Like, what am I doing? Like, kind of spinning my wheels a bit. But at the same time, there's been I have three songs that are getting wrapped up right now, which Greg Eklund from Everclear is playing on a couple of those. We actually met up in Minneapolis, like right before the pandemic. And I was like, this is just the weirdest. So he's playing on a couple of the Porcupine songs and I'm playing in his band. He just put out a record. It's been a trip. It's been a different process, but I'm actually going up Sunday to rehearse with new Porcupine formation. I'm super excited because we're going to be in a room playing guitars really loud and banging it out like we used to. So
speaking of that, getting back into it, you mentioned the couple songs coming out, but what's next? I mean, are you also going to be planning on touring a bit, or what do you see in the horizon?
I hope so. I'm not thinking that far ahead because it's, now they're talking about another wave of COVID, and I know where I work, we're going to be putting the masks back on. And so it's like, man, I'm not going to get really excited and then have my balloon popped again. Like last couple, man, I'm not going to lie. I was depressed for a couple of months. I was, man, what the heck?
I think we all were in some ways,
You're right. I think everybody was. I mean, and
it's like, should I own a gun or not? Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's getting sketchy. Like, and I was really worried about my family. I lost, my stepdad passed away. That was tough. And yeah, you're just trying to rethink your priorities, and that's another thing. Like, this is a priority, but then it can't be sometimes because other things come up that are way more important than, my family is way more important than. I've done a lot of cool stuff. If it all ended, I've done some stuff that I always dreamed of doing, and I can't complain about it. I really can't.
Also, this is more for my interest than anything else, but you've opened for the Meat Puppets a few times.
Yeah, we went on a.
I love that band.
Oh, they're the best. We went on a tour. I'm serious. They're like, yeah, Kurt and Chris are really. It was fun to talk about songs with them, and like they're really open about just talking about anything. They're like kind of like uncles, like, and then Mike Watt was on that tour too, and he's the best. Like I said, like that experience alone was like priceless because you just learn a lot about just musicality and like, I don't know, it kind of puts you in a professional place. And yeah, and we went out with Flipper, we went out with Mudhoney, we went out with Flesh Eaters, which is like this crazy super group. It's John Doe from X, Dave Alvin for the Blasters, the drummer from the Blasters. Percussionist he's the drummer for X, but he played like xylophone. And then the saxophone player from Los Lobos is insane. And we went out east with them. So I got to, play New York City, and like you meet other kind of, I can't remember her first name, but she's from Yole Tango. She was at the Bowery Room show, and you're like, holy crap. Oh, and Kim Thale from Soundgarden was there. I've hung out with him a couple of times, and that was incredible because you're like, man, I saw you at Summerfest with Jeff Buckley. So we talked about Jeff Buckley and of course Chris passing away, which is insane. But yeah, I've been pretty damn lucky,
That's awesome.
The Meat Puppets, on a side note,
yep,
their records just get better and better and better.
They are a band that I try to buy every single one of their new albums that come out. When I first got into it, I kind of bought a newer one just because I didn't want to buy the, kind of like the hits sort of thing, like after the whole Unplugged.
Sure.
And so they do. And I've probably seen them play about 7 times. It's a good time, but
So you've seen him with Elmo, his son, playing.
It's actually been a while. It was before that. It was before he came on board. Like I haven't seen him in probably 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, Elmo's playing guitar. That's Kurt's son.
Yep.
He's a funny dude.
Meat puppets forever. So so if people want to find out more, kind of find out what's going on with this, I believe EP coming out, maybe connect with you on maybe if there's a tour that can be happening, what's the best avenue for people to follow along?
Right now, I'm going to revamp the website. So that's in the works. So I would say probably the Facebook page, which is, I don't know the website page.
Yeah, it's just a Porcupine Band on Facebook. And then people can find the website from there once it's ready to go.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.